Summer House star Lindsay Hubbard is taking shots at Dorinda Medley. She is not happy with her, and she is ready to mention it all. We have a very explosive Real Houses of Salt Lake City reunion, or not reunion, sorry, reunion trailer, but we have a finale that we'll be discussing. And then I have a very special guest who's going to come on to talk to us about these LA fires and all these celebs and families that want to sue the state of California. We'll get into all of that. So let's get ready, Freddie. Happy Thursday. You're listening to No Filter with Zack Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. Hi, guys. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Thursday. Tips of Thursday. Living life on a Thursday. How is everybody? I hope you guys are having a great start to your week. I guess now the week is finally wrapping up. We're getting ready to kick off the weekend. We have, I don't know if some of you guys have a 3-day weekend because I believe we have Martin Luther King on Monday. What do we have on Monday? Is it Martin? I always forget. Is Martin Luther King in January or February? It is Martin Luther King, but for some reason I thought it was in February. I don't know why. But yeah, we have Martin Luther King Day and we have Inauguration Day that are both coming up on Monday. Happy that Justin officially filed his lawsuit. Did he? Well, he officially filed his lawsuit against the New York Times. Oh, wow. Breaking news. Holy guacamole. It's here. Oh, this is the real news. Justin Baldoni sues Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds for $400 million. $400 million. And alleges that they sought to destroy him. Wow, Bethany. Wow. Okay, so let me just recap the other news that we're going to chat about very briefly. And then let's get into this Baldoni lawsuit because wow, Bethany, wow. Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively sued Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds on Thursday, alleging that Hollywood power couple hijacked his film and sought to destroy him with false allegations of harassment. In the 179-page complaint, Gee Willikers, the last complaint was 87 pages, I think was the longest one, filed in New York. Baldoni and his publicist accused Blake and Ryan of civil extortion, defamation, invasion of privacy. The suit seeks $400 million in damages. The lawsuit marks the latest salvo in the all-out war between the It Ends With Us co-stars as each seeks the upper hand in the contest over public opinion. At the bottom, this case is not about celebrities snipping at each other in the press. Baldoni's lawsuit states this is a case of two of the most powerful stars in the world destroying their enormous power to steal plans of the director and production studio. When plaintiffs have their day in court, the jury will recognize that even the most powerful celebrity cannot bend to the truth of her will. Lively filed her own lawsuit against Baldoni, producer Jamie Heath, and publicist Melissa Nathan and Jennifer Abel on December 30th. Okay. So this is just a recap of the lawsuit, and oof, geez, we're gonna have to go through all this. Okay, maybe that'll be tomorrow's episode where we go through all of the actual lawsuit itself. I mean, 179 pages is quite a lot. I kind of want to dig into it now, though. Let's see. Suing Ryan Reynolds. Oh, they're suing Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, Leslie Sloan, and Vision PR. How long is this intro? Because I want to read it so badly. Okay, we may have to save it for tomorrow. Just because it's so long, I want to make sure I can read through it, recap it. But listen, the lawsuit is here. Thank you, Christopher, for coming in the live chat and letting us know the lawsuit is here. Oh, are you sure my connection's breaking? It seems solid on my end. SpaghettiOs. You are my fire. Are you guys sure? Everything looks good on my end. Wi-Fi is clear. Connection is jerky. It is choppy. Your connection is bad. Oh, it's not. Is it my connection? My connection looks completely fine on my end, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. It was, but you are fine now. It's better now. Now it's better. Okay. Can you read it and give us the notes? Yeah, so I'll read Baldoni's lawsuit tomorrow. Or I'll read it, I'll review it tonight, and then we'll go through a deeper breakdown of it tomorrow. Have you found your modem? No, I don't know. I don't know where the modem's at. The modem is somewhere in the apartment. I've lived here for a year and a half now. Still have no clue where they installed the modem. I was here when they did it. I don't remember where they put it, and I've not been able to find it. I've searched every room. Okay, so Baldoni lawsuit. We'll break it down tomorrow. Nothing. I mean, this report from Variety doesn't say anything other than it's a $400 million lawsuit. $400 million. So we'll have to wait and see because I want to make sure we dive into everything. But let's talk about Dorinda Medley and Lindsay Hubbard. So Lindsay Hubbard was just on Amanda Hirsch's podcast, Not Skinny, Not Fat. And in it, Lindsay Hubbard, in the interview, Lindsay tells Amanda about, because remember there are the rumors, right? With the new season of The Traitors, it's just begun. Spoiler alert, at this point, you've had a week to watch it. So if you don't know or want to know or anything, listen, Linda. I'm about to give you a Traitor spoiler. Because I'm going to tell you someone was eliminated. And I'm going to tell you who. And the person that was eliminated was Dorinda Medley, which is probably Lindsay Hubbard's like voodoo magic that she did to make sure Dorinda went out first. So the rumors were that Lindsay Hubbard was supposed to join this new season of The Traitors. Ultimately, she was replaced with Sierra Miller, who also stars on Summer House, right? But I guess there were rumors that Dorinda hindered Lindsay's ability to join the show because Lindsay was pregnant, and I guess she was trying to hide the fact that she was pregnant, or she was too early to like really go all into it. So then Dorinda apparently got a little litty city at a party that Margaret Josephs was hosting for my manager just sent me the lawsuit. How funny. Thank you, David. I'm 5 minutes ahead of you though. But so she's calling out Dorinda Medley, basically saying like Dorinda went around Margaret's party and was talking about Lindsay being pregnant, and I guess she was a little lit and she was sauced up, and Lindsay says that she was going around telling people that she had lost the baby. Dorinda was saying that Lindsay Hubbard lost the baby, and Lindsay's like, that's absolutely not true. That's false. That's BS. Whatever. And we haven't heard Dorinda's side of it, but so I remember at the time there were rumors that Dorinda hindered Lindsay's ability to join the show, and obviously there are restrictions with joining the Traitors because you have to go through a psych eval and you have to go through a physical evaluation because there are physical challenges that can obviously not be healthy for a woman that is actively with child to be participating in. And so it sounded like, from what I was hearing, Lindsay was trying to still get on the show even though she was pregnant, despite it being maybe not the safest environment. And so Dorinda, I guess, was running her mouth. I guess it sounds like that info may have gone back to producers, and maybe that's how Lindsay was disinvited from joining the Traitors. But Lindsay was just kind of going off about how Dorinda was telling people that not only was Lindsay pregnant, but that she lost the baby. And then Amanda's like, oh, well, is it possible because you've had a miscarriage in the past? Is it possible that like maybe Dorinda was mixing up the details? Or was it possible that maybe when the story got back to you, the details got mixed up? Because it kind of sounds like it's fair that Dorinda would be like upset about being like, why would Lindsay try to be getting on the Traitors if she's pregnant, especially considering she already had a miscarriage previously? So that would make sense if that was the conversation that drunk Dorinda was having. But Lindsay seems very adamant that Dorinda was telling people that Lindsay had a second miscarriage. And so whatever it was got lost in translation. Dorinda Medley went and put her Dorinda Medley deadly spell out there and got Lindsay allegedly squashed from the cast of season 3. Lindsay still sounds really bitter about it and doesn't seem happy with Dorinda. She's like, I've always been good with Dorinda. I've always been friends with Dorinda. Like, this is really crazy and wild that Dorinda would even go there. How would Dorinda even know she was pregnant in the first place? Well, because Lindsay wasn't being too discreet about it. Because listen, a lot of us heard about. I heard about it. Remember, I did a whole. What do you call it? members only about Lindsay Hubbard being pregnant. Then I got in trouble. And then Sheena texted me and she's like, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't take away a woman's ability to like go. And I remember at the time I was like, listen, this rumor is out there. People are talking about it online. This is what I'm hearing behind the scenes because it's already out there and people are talking about it. But also Lindsay's trying to shut this rumor down. And I was like, and I was saying Lindsay and her team are denying that Lindsay is pregnant. Obviously, we found out that that was a lie because Lindsay is pregnant and she was pregnant at that time as well. So it seems like she was trying to conceal her pregnancy. Now, could it be because she'd had a miscarriage and she wanted to make sure she was in the clear first, or could it have been that she really did want to join the new season of The Traitors? I don't know, but it's out there. Dorinda with the miscarriage rumor is awful. I mean, the fact that Dorinda's even talking about it and like getting drunk at a party where a bunch of people that happen to know Lindsay were going and taking the information back to her, I get it, you know? I definitely get why Lindsay would be bothered by that. But seems like this Dorinda versus Lindsay saga will continue to go on. Listen, that would be great, right? Lindsay on a new house, on a Real Housewives in New York, and Dorinda on Real Housewives in New York together. Like the two of them, could you imagine that? Like they would be fighting all day long. Give them some cocktails and they'll both be activated and just like clawing each other's eyes out. That would be fun. They would be quite the hoot and the holler, right? Okay. What else? What else? What else? Salt Lake City. So we have the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Yeah, it was good, right? It was a good finale. So we open up with the Lisa Bar. So we're coming off the coattails of the last fight, but now we're coming in. We're still on Lisa's trip, and we are Heather. Which it's always weird when somebody Lisa Barlow's the one's hosting the trip, but yet one of the other housewives is like hosting a dinner. That's always like strange to me when it's somebody else's trip, quote unquote, and then someone else decides, oh well, I want to plan an activity. I want to plan a dinner. So we have Heather who plans this Lisa Barlow dinner where everybody has to dress up as Lisa and pretend that they're Lisa. And then there's when we see Whitney and Lisa Barlow go at it again over the rumor that Whitney got about Alibaba, where there's this rumor online, and Whitney, her jewelry company is seemingly sourced from Alibaba, AliExpress. And so Lisa Barlow is allegedly the one that spread this rumor, and she heard it from the blogger. We know who the blogger is. The blogger is up in Adam. He's pretty close with a lot of these ladies, right? He hosted a podcast with Monica. He, was very friendly with Jen Shah, interviewed Jen Shah. And so he's very much intertwined with the Salt Lake City ladies. Now, Whitney seems very clear that Adam told her that this leak of the AliExpress story was absolutely from Lisa Barlow. And then Lisa Barlow's like, no, that's not true. That absolutely did not happen. And then people are like, well, Lisa, we know that you leak stories to the bloggers. And Lisa's like, that's not true. And then it just, I don't know. We see them continue to fight over this stupid thing. And then Meredith's like, well, I've talked to the blogger too. And the blogger said that's absolutely not what happened. And Whitney's twisting his words. And Whitney's, changing the context of what he was saying, yada, yada, yada. I heard that Whitney has the text messages that show that. But also Adam's been very clear that, like, he said that this is Frankenstein editing and that they've taken his words out of context and they chopped up their phone call to make it look like he was saying something that he wasn't saying. So at this point, who knows what the truth is? Christopher says every housewife leaks stories. Yes and no. I don't know. Some of them I think don't care to really get involved. Do I think Lisa Barlow's leaking stories? I wouldn't. No. I would think Heather Gay is more of a story leaker. Whitney Rose, I can see. Angie K, I can absolutely see leaking stories. Mary, I can see not intentionally leaking stories, but if somebody comes to her and is talking to her, she's gonna be like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. She would like have a whole thing, right? She would like absolutely yap to them and tell them things that they probably shouldn't. I can see Lisa Barlow maybe doing something similar. I think that, yeah, you're probably right. They probably all do it. But so I thought it was a good finale. We end on this final dinner, and Heather Gay, every time a housewife has a game that they want to play, it's always fun, right? So Heather, remember the last time Heather's like, who would you throw off the wagon? And which housewife here would you throw off the wagon? Well, now here we are yet again with another fun game of let's pull out the most scathing text message and just put it all out there so that we can address it and forget it. And I'm like, oh, what did Dorinda say? say it, forget it, write it, regret it. Well, we wrote it all out and everybody came and they went through their phones and they had their text messages. It felt a little staged because all of them had like screenshots of the text message. I'm assuming because they didn't want anybody else to go through the rest of the thread because I'm sure the thread was awful. But Heather Gay goes and she's like ripping apart Whitney and how fame has changed Whitney and how she carries Whitney's products at the beauty lab, even though they've never sold one. And so she just goes hard at Whitney. And so they're all sharing their different text messages. But then the heat turns when Whitney decides she's going to read a text message about Lisa Barlow and John Barlow and about them having, I guess, an open relationship or having threesomes or hooking up or something. And Lisa Barlow flips and she's like, how dare you come for my husband? Like, that's too far. That's too low. I think Lisa overreacted because that was the whole point of the game. And so I don't know if it was just that Meredith and Lisa had something really bad on their phone that they didn't want to reveal or that they didn't want to read. And so it was total deflection. But I just feel like it was weird. Like, and obviously we knew that this game was going to go bad. We knew that this was not going to end well. Like the game was always going to end poorly, but it was a solid finale. I think the reunion trailer seems relatively, I don't know. I was kind of underwhelmed by the reunion trailer. It just kind of seems like we didn't get a whole lot. But I like that we didn't get much about the Monica stuff because we saw that teased in the original trailer about you reached out to our worst enemy, and she was alluding to Monica. So we didn't get much deeper into like the Up and Adam story, nor did we get much deeper into like Whitney reaching out to Monica. I assume that'll probably come up more at the reunion. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it was just interesting. It was a good finale, though. I mean, listen, the drama was there. It ended in catastrophe, as normally these housewife finales and trips often do. Catastrophe is where we often like to end things with the end of the season. I don't like the overproduced, like, when what was it? Did they open the episode with it where Heather's like, "We often open our lives and we share things, but sometimes things get out into the public and we have to address the public." Like there was a lot of producing. I feel like Heather Gay is the most produced housewife on this show. So when you see even Mary be like, "I think Heather's changed and fame has really changed her." Um, I get that and I can see that. And Heather's just like, no, I'm just confident now. And I'm just like, well, I mean, yes, you're confident, but you also, I feel like fame has gotten to Heather and she just feels so much more produced than she actually is. Um, so I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what the reunion brings, but it's, as Andy Cohen teased, an explosive 3-part reunion. So we'll see what the explosive 3-part reunion will bring. Brittany says, please talk about them all turning on Adam and slamming all content creators. Heather acted like they're the most famous people. I don't like that, right? In Adam's defense, I will say I don't like that the housewives often communicate with bloggers, go out to dinner with bloggers, DM with bloggers, get on the phone with bloggers, as we're seeing Whitney use Adam to dig up dirt about Lisa or to dig up dirt about the AliExpress storyline or whatever. I don't like how the second the bloggers or the content creators are not of use to them, they're willing to throw you under the bus. Yeah, I'm glad I've never been that type of person. I'm glad that I've never been that type of person that um like feeds the housewives or like tries to collude or work with them. Like that's just never been me. But I don't know. I don't like when, I mean, that's I guess part of the reason why I don't like um feeding into any of their nonsense, because when you talk to them, like, I mean, we've seen it. Lisa Rinna's done it. I feel like Tamara's maybe been caught chatting with bloggers, and then yeah, it never ends well for the bloggers or the content creators. So that's why I try to like set boundaries and make sure that I don't get too close with the housewives. Otherwise, it can totally uh just end up blowing right back. But what are your thoughts of the finale? Tanya says Heather can take the receipts and leave. Whitney needs to be worried about her crappy pyramid scheme. Does she actually have a pyramid scheme? I have heard that, and that's like a rumor that people have put out there. But like, is it? I know she had like some sort of multi-level marketing business. Was that with her beauty business? Like she was trying to be like the Avon lady. She was trying to do, what were the stockings or the yoga pants? Not Lululemon. LuLaRoe, LuLaRae. Remember that one? They had a whole like documentary about it, LuLaRae. The ladies of Salt Lake City are trying hard to be famous. I don't think they're trying hard to be famous. I think they genuinely believe that they are famous. They're just like, I'm a celebrity. I think you can see that with Heather. I think you can see that with Lisa Barlow. You can see that with Whitney. Like, I think fame, they all kind of had that same critique for each other. So, like, fame has kind of gone to Angie K. Brittany, oh my God, Brittany is the most annoying. And she just joined the show and she's not even a full-time housewife. And she like thinks she is so famous. Like, she's got Jennifer Aiden syndrome and she's going to go to a Jersey Mike's and she's going to flip out on an old lady and she'll be like, my diamonds are real. My hair is real. It's bad, but it's real. She's Becky with the bad hair. Storm says the blogger they keep referring to is clearly trying to use them. I mean, listen, I think it's a leveraged world, right? Everybody's trying to scratch each other's back to get something. I'm shocked that Lisa got so defensive. In my opinion, she's the smartest, so the best thing is to do. Yeah, but at the same time, I get that. I get why she'd be upset because it is her marriage, and you're talking about her husband, and somebody else is jerking off her husband. Like, it's just, it was a really, um, it was kind of like a low blow, right? But also, that was the point of the game. What is the worst thing you've ever said about someone? Put it out there and let's address it, right? And Whitney or Lisa's like, you could have said something about my looks. You could have said something, but of anything, but you chose that. I also get why Lisa's upset though, right? Because this isn't a regular game where we're at the table, we're reading the worst thing we've ever said to each other, and we're truly just bearing it. It's being televised. So when you put this out there, and I think Whitney knew exactly what she was doing by putting this information out there. And when you put it out there, then it makes it look like Lisa Barlow and John Barlow have an open relationship and that they're not, you know, not on the same page. But that's where we're at. All right. I do want to shift gears. Keep weighing in the live chat. I do want to shift gears a bit because I want to get into, and we've been covering the fires. I mean, really fully since they began last week. But so I wanted to do a quick update on the fires because we've had like Spencer Pratt and Heidi Montag from The Hills who are now filing their lawsuit or preparing to file their lawsuit against the state of California. And I wanted to dive a bit deeper into that. So yeah, well, I have a very special guest on that you've seen on the podcast before. But before we bring him in, I just wanted to give a shout out to this week's sponsors. I want to give a shout out to my pals at Rocket Money. The start of a new year is the perfect time to get organized, to set goals, prioritize what matters most. And as I've shared, for me, one of my top priorities this year in 2025 is my financial wellness, which feels more important than ever right now. Thanks to Rocket Money, my goals feel achievable because they show me all of my subscriptions right in one place and help me easily cancel the ones that I've forgotten to pay for. How many times have we done that? Sign up for a streaming service and then another one because, oh, I want to watch this season. I'm not interested in all the shows, but I'm interested in just this one show. So let me binge it this one weekend. And then you have 1 or 2 episodes left and then it just carries on. Well, Rocket Money pulls together all of my spending across all my different accounts so that I can track my spending habits and see where I can cut back. You can sign up for something, forget about it after the trial period ends, and then you're charged month after month after month. The subscriptions are there, but you're not even using them. In fact, I just learned that 85% of people have at least one paid subscription that's going unused per month. Well, thanks to Rocket Money, I can see all my subscriptions all in one place and cancel the ones that I'm not using anymore so that I'm saving money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to Rocket Money, ROCKET, rocketmoney.com/no filter. That's rocketmoney.com/no filter. All right. Go on over, get you some Rocket Money. You know what else is kind of crazy? Over 10,000 chemicals have entered our US food supply, yet the EU only limits this to just 300 additives. I personally don't have time to be sitting through all the ingredient labels and trying to figure out what's in my food, which is why I love using Thrive Market. Thrive Market takes the guesswork out of finding safe, healthy foods. All their products are 100% non GMO and free from over 1,000 harmful ingredients. And Even better, their on site filters make shopping even easier. Whether you're looking for dye free snacks, I saw that red dye just got banned here in the US. Finally, but until our country catches up, you have options with Thrive Market. They have dye free snacks, non toxic cleaning, high protein meals that can fit your dietary preferences. Thrive Market has you covered in just a few clicks. For example, I'm trying to get my protein intake up this year. And, I love that they're filtering on their site can set high protein options so that I'm always fully stocked. Personalize this portion and share any other filters that you use. Well, you can set it for your whole family. If your husband wants to get high protein or you want to make sure you get low carb, but you want to get more healthy snacks for your kids' lunches, you have options, right? Another thing I love is Thrive Market's smart cart feature. It takes the stress out of replacing junk food so you can replace them with products that are cleaner and healthier options. So if you're ready for a junk-free start to your 2025, head to thrivemarket.com/nofilter and get 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's Thrive Market, THRIVE, thrivemarket.com/nofilter. thrivemarket.com/nofilter. All right, let's dive in because California is in quite a dicey place, and we have a lot of celebs that are speaking out. I know Spencer and Heidi have been at the forefront doing a lot of different interviews, trying to really just salvage whatever they have left after losing everything from Spencer's childhood home to the home that he shares with Heidi. So I figured, as much as I like to play Legally Blonde, as much as I like to be Kim Kardashian and put on my glasses and read through legal documents and come up with theories and add my own conjecture to a lot of this stuff, I feel like we need somebody that actually is an expert. He's been on the podcast before. Uh, Last time he was on, I believe it was in regards to the Tom Girardi case, which funny that that's finally come to a conclusion. But please welcome back into the podcast from Forouzan Law, Mr. Daniel Forouzan.
Glad to be here, Zack. Thank you so much for having me on.
How are you?
I'm not doing bad. Thankfully, my home didn't burn down, but goodness gracious, I know quite a few people whose homes did.
What part of LA are you in?
I'm in Century City.
Okay. So not too close to the fires. I'm in downtown, so I was a good 7 miles from everything.
I'm glad to hear that. How's the air quality in downtown?
It's gotten a lot better. I feel like surprisingly it's cleared up. I mean, the
Mm.
first couple of days there was just this black smoke everywhere, and now I feel like it's finally starting to clear. I got an air purifier. I've been taking all my herbs and supplements and trying to make sure my detox pathways are strong.
Okay. Well, that sounds
Doing
good. The
everything I
air
can.
quality has been pretty bad here as well. But look,
Yeah.
compared to the issues other people are dealing with, so be it. I'll deal with some bad air quality, right?
Yeah. Oh wow, look at the live. I just want you to know the live chat is definitely appreciating you. Christopher says, "Damn, he's fine." And Kevin said, "Wow,
Wow.
he's a hottie." Yeah, the internet. You got the internet. Now you got the internet fired up. Um,
Well,
Taking the heat from the fires and bringing them onto the internet. But before we dive into all of that, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the Girardi stuff because that's finally come to an end. Tom Girardi, his sentencing is coming up. He was found guilty. We saw Christopher Camone, his CFO, pled guilty. They both are awaiting their sentences in prison. I mean, it's crazy. We chatted at the beginning of all of this because you were the last person to actually interview Tom Girardi.
yeah, never would I have expected starting a podcast would get me embroiled in a Housewives backslash LA legal scandal, and yet here we are. My original opinions stay the same. I don't get the feeling that he had some kind of mental incapacity which prevented him from actually understanding what he was doing. And from what I hear, he's been ripping off people for decades.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't seem like cognitive impairment was the problem here. It seems the problem was being a thief.
Yeah. I mean, at least the CFO kind of came into it because his defense was that it was all Camone, and Camone was the one that was cooking the books and skimming off the top and had his own side scheme going on. And then Camone's like, "Listen, I did some of it, but it wasn't all me." And so Tom definitely tried to deflect and try to schmooze as much as he could, and it didn't work on the jury.
Yeah, look, I can give you a quick inside story. My mentor, who's in Tom Girardi's age bracket, has been around for a while, told me this. Said, look, I know a bunch of attorneys who took cases to Tom. And Tom, not his CFO, Tom ripped them off on the cases. Tom told them, I'm not paying you. We'll get you on the next one. So he can point fingers as he wants, but when you point a finger, three other fingers are pointing back at you, right?
Yeah. So let's talk California fires. Right now we have reality star Spencer Pratt and his wife Heidi Montag. They had a home in the Pacific Palisades, and they lost their home. Spencer grew up in the Palisades, so they lost their family home as well, the home that he grew up in, and the home that he shared with his wife and kids. And so now they are planning to file a class action lawsuit with a bunch of their neighbors in the Palisades against the state of California. Now, online, I've seen some people say that they shouldn't sue the state because the state has no responsibility, or that the state is, if they're going to fight a lawsuit, it's going to come from taxpayer money. So a lot of people are just kind of confused about how this would even work or move forward. What is your take, or what was your initial reaction to hearing that they even had plans to sue the state of California?
Well, it's going to depend. Every lawyer says it, right? It depends. It does. It depends on a lot of things. Right now, I think there's three potential lawsuits set up. One of them would be against the state or the city. The next one would be against the power line companies who don't maintain their power lines. And the third type of lawsuit would be a lawsuit against insurance companies who are failing to reimburse households who paid them premiums. And it all breaks down and it all gets really complicated. But let me just start off on what you said about suing the city or the state. I've sued the United States of America. I've sued the city of Los Angeles. I think I've even sued the county of Los Angeles. And what I can tell you is governmental entities in the United States have something called qualified immunity. Sometimes in various governmental actions that they do, they are immune from being sued. So in terms of going after the city or state, right now, I'm still looking into whether or not there's a there there, and I'm not sure there will be, because if the city or state was mismanaged, which in my opinion it is, and I'm more than happy to give you details of that, it doesn't mean you can sue them. Now, that's different than, for example, suing a private company who does the power. PG&E, Edison, these are companies that have been sued time after time after
Right.
time. Some of the most horrendous, life destroying, and murderous fires that we've ever had in the state of California come from poorly maintained power lines. And the people who run these companies in the C suite, their pockets are well lined. And even if the company's not even doing that well, they're rich and fat.
Yeah.
However, the end user, the person who relies on them for power, well, they failed to maintain some power cord, which probably would have only cost a few $1,000s to begin with. And now an entire society has lost their livelihood. If I get a little bit emotional about this, I just want to say I have a lot of friends who have lost homes, especially in the Palisades. This whole last weekend, I didn't take the weekend. I just was on the phone talking to them. Hey, look, these are your options. You can do this, you can do that. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad to see these things. And then the final thing, which is the lawsuits against the insurance companies, which are inevitably coming up. In some areas, the insurance was cut, so there's no there there. However, in some areas, the homes were insured. Do you think, my friend, that the insurance companies are going to come to these households and say, hey, we'll pay you for everything we lost? Of course not. The insurance companies are going to come and they're going to say, nah, you don't have a claim, or we're going to give you half of what you're asking, et cetera, et cetera. So that's going to be a whole other progeny of litigation as well.
So now I've heard a lot of cases with primarily elderly couples that had fire insurance. They'd been paying for fire insurance for a very long time. Their insurance recently got cut. So does any of that money that they had paid, they can't sue those insurance companies for at least some coverage?
No, when you get automobile insurance for 2024 and you stop paying for it in 2025 and you get into a car accident in 2025, your 2024 insurance does not go forward. It does not apply. So, unfortunately, what happened,
Yeah.
and this is a frustrating thing for me as well, Zach, the insurance company saw this coming.
Yeah.
Let me please repeat that. The insurance company saw this coming. Okay. And there's no reason, if the insurance company saw this coming, there is no reason the city and the state shouldn't have seen this coming, or at least been better prepared. But in the case of the insurance, yeah, they cut the insurance. You didn't pay for it. You don't have it. One of my friends, his fire insurance got so high, he was telling me, $35,000 a year for fire insurance. And they didn't take it, which maybe they should have, or maybe they had, financial constraints, but they didn't have $35,000 to spend on insurance. They didn't insure the home. Home's gone, completely gone. So really unfortunate. What I can say is, for those of you who still do have insurance, the state of California has put a moratorium on their ability to cancel or non-renew your insurance, at least for the next year. But of course, the question is, well, what happens after that? And right now, I don't think there's any good answers.
Now, you reference suing the electrical companies, but
Hmm.
I believe as of right now, from what we understand from the fires, the only fire that we've been able to link to an electrical power line is the Eaton fire. But as of right now, we don't know what started the Palisades fire. And so I know Spencer Pratt has spoken out, and he says that he doesn't believe that it was power lines because from where he saw the fires began, there were no power lines up there. My understanding of the Palisades, the power lines are underground. So the theory that the winds blew the power lines and didn't shut off the power, that wouldn't necessarily be plausible, because if the power lines are underground and the fire started before the winds really picked up, then it doesn't sound like that's an electrical issue. It's very likely that that could have been a man-made fire, possibly arson, possibly accidental. We don't know yet. But if that was a man-made fire, and Spencer says that he tried calling 911, he tried to get the fire department out there. There were planes that were at first tending to the fire and putting it out, so they weren't initially concerned. But then I guess Biden was coming into town, so there was an airstrike and the planes had to leave. And by the time they left, the wind started to pick up and they weren't able to get back in the air, and no fire trucks ever came to tend to the houses that were out there. Does that change the details of being able to sue the city or the state, given that he did reach out to, some of the services that should be available to us, like the fire department, or 911 dispatch that should be able to at least alert, some sort of local authorities to come and act on that?
I'd say right now probably doesn't change anything. Um, in my opinion, city and state are mismanaged, possibly grossly mismanaged.
Yeah.
LAPD doesn't show up. LAFD is underfunded. You have crazy crime. You have all sorts of stuff going on in terms of drug use in public, and these things just drain resources. And I don't think it's managed well. I mean, imagine every time someone called 911 and the police didn't show up in time and the person got murdered or robbed.
Yeah.
All those people would be filing lawsuits against the city. They don't. They can't. Mismanagement of a governmental agency in and of itself is not necessarily something you can file a lawsuit over. It's more such as, I'll give you an example. United States Postal Service truck runs over some poor guy and kills that poor guy. Then you can sue the United States Postal Service. But your mail is late, maybe not as much. Do you see the distinction there?
Yeah. So with regards to the fire, what legal action would they be able to take? Insurance companies aside, because obviously a lot of people in the Palisades just don't have insurance policies anymore. They were canceled within the last year. Palisades, we can't sue the electrical companies because it doesn't appear that that was, I mean, maybe the Eaton fire and, the people out in Pasadena, Altadena can, consider that as an option. But I mean, even then, like, how do you, with then we had the winds and, how would they be able to, I mean, unless they shut the power off, but what options, are there any legal options for people in the Palisades to take some sort of
I might
lawsuit?
not have a good answer for you, Zach. Unfortunately, I say this because if one of my friends sees this, they know I'm talking about them because I know quite a few people there. One distinction I'll make: believe it or not, there are places in the Palisades that were insured. I've spoken to at least one homeowner whose home was in fact insured. The fire was so bad that it hit certain areas that even the insurance companies didn't see coming. So I can say those who have insurance, there's that recourse. They can pursue litigation for bad faith insurance or something of that nature. However, as for everyone else, and I have to agree with you, I haven't heard anything about power lines in the Palisades. I've heard things about fires, really started from fireworks last year that continue to burn. I've heard that the airplanes were grounded, the winds were terrible, the fire hydrants weren't working. I've heard all these things.
Yeah.
I'm not sure yet if there is, and I hate to say it, I'm not sure if there is legal recourse. What I sometimes say to my clients is your recourse is not legal, your recourse may be political.
And is there a political recourse option for them? I mean, what does that even I mean, I know so many people feel so angry that they've been failed by their insurance companies and by their local government and by the state government that they want some sort of, you know, retribution here. Is there anything?
Might be tough, unfortunately. We'll have to see how things break down. We'll have to see exactly what caused these fires. We'll have to see more details about how things were handled. I promise you, if there's an opportunity to sue the government, I will. I'm in another lawsuit right now with the city of Los Angeles. I had another lawsuit with the city of Los Angeles just a few years ago. I sued the United States of America. I'm in a lawsuit with the county of Riverside right now. Happy to sue governmental entities where the options are available and the case is merited. Right now, I'm not sure that's going to be an option. I do, however, do agree in terms of the way the city and state are managed that there's a lot of really ugly information, statistics, information. I could share it with you even if you want, but
Yeah.
it
No,
may
please
be
do.
the kind of thing that you have to take a look at your leadership and say, have they been properly managing the city and the state for
Yeah.
however many years?
Yeah. We have a question in the live chat. Can they sue Mayor Karen Bass or Governor Newsom at all?
Sure, if they run over your foot with their truck.
Yeah, you have to show that there's direct damage or direct injury that's linked to each of them personally. It is wild just kind of watching it all play out. I mean, I obviously, similar to you, I know a lot of people. I mean, I'm from Los Angeles, so all my family is here, my immediate family, my extended family, all of my friends growing up, they're all here. So I'm watching people in different parts of town that are facing the devastation firsthand or, have had to evacuate their homes and are, still not back home, even though their home may be fine. There's no power or the smoke quality, the air quality is just too strong for them to head back home just yet. So it's unfortunate. And even just me sitting back and watching it, I'm like, I see a lot of anger directed at the mayor and the governor, and I understand it, right? It definitely appears that there's a lot of mismanagement because one thing that I keep saying is two things we should always be prepared for in California are fires and earthquakes. That's like absolute worst case scenario. Those are two things that we should always be prepared. We don't have to worry about a hurricane. We don't have to worry about a tornado. I mean, listen, if they want to say climate change is that crazy and we're going to start getting tornadoes in 50 years, okay, when that becomes a reality to where we have to really start to worry about other natural disasters, that becomes a reality then. But right now, the two biggest priorities should always be fires and earthquakes. And of course, mudslides, which, but those are more of people that are um, in the hills or in the canyons. But it's just it's wild to kind of watch that and to even see the governor come out and he provides these statistics that just don't align with the objective reality that we're seeing in front of us. And to me, it's just a very apparent example of him campaigning to save his reputation rather than it is to meet the needs of the people.
Yeah. Our politicians aren't leaders anymore. They're just
Yeah,
politicians,
yeah,
they're worried about themselves rather than worried about their constituency. I will point out a few things. I think there is a lot of criticism to go around, but the first thing I want to say is there's sometimes difficulty, in my opinion, in honestly discussing politics. I think when you criticize one side, it's assumed that you're on the other side.
correct.
That's not how I operate. I just call a spade a spade. If I see it, I call it. And since about 2020, 2021, I've been following how the state of California and the city of Los Angeles have been managing things. Obviously, we don't have the time to get into it here, but goodness gracious, my friend, I am sincerely concerned. I would point out, look, Mayor Bass was thrown into probably an impossible situation. I don't think if the other guy got her job, what was it, Caruso? I don't think if Caruso was, voted in, that things would have gone all that different. These are issues that stem back, in my humble opinion, all the way back to 2014, 2015, where we went ahead and we voted in, I think it was Prop 47. That's
Mhm.
the one where you have all the crime and drug use and all that stuff. And by the way, I'm not saying there isn't a need for criminal justice reform, but 10 years after that prop was put into motion, you have people stealing from stores, the smash and grab, looting and theft. It's all over the place. You have people consuming drugs in the middle of the street. So, of course, the focus of the state and the city shifts from fires to crime and homelessness. And you can see that in the budgets. LAPD budget skyrockets. Homeless service budgets are astronomical. And, they make cuts to the Los Angeles Fire Department. Now, there's that $18 million cut that's become a talking point. First off, let me confirm it is true. And now some people like to say, well, look, 18 million compared to our whole budget's nearly a billion.
Right.
So what's 18 million compared to that? Well, the 18 million that was cut caused 60 to 70 civilian firefighters to get cut. What does that mean? That means it's the people who maintain the vehicles. It's the people who make sure the equipment is working. Well, guess what? Since for about a year, there's been about 100 fire trucks, fire engines, all sorts of fire equipment sitting in a boneyard in Los Angeles. No one's maintained it. And so the people who were out there fighting the fires, they had their hands tied behind their backs. It's not just the fire hydrants. They didn't have vehicles. And again, you have Tracy Park. She's the council member of Council District 11, which is the Palisades. She's out there saying, why is there 100 vehicles sitting in the boneyards? And by the way, these vehicles have weeds growing around them. Like they've been sitting there for a good while. And look, you have also, I just want to make sure I get the name of this thing right, that reservoir that wasn't filled. Are you familiar with that?
Is it the San Ynez Reservoir?
Yes. Do you know how much water was lost as a result of that?
No, how much?
117 million gallons of water in the Palisades that were specifically designed to fight fires. Let me repeat that. Were specifically designed to be used by fire trucks and be used to fight fires by firemen was not filled. Why was it not filled? Because it had a hole in its protective covering. Fine, fix the hole. Guess how long the reservoir has been down for?
Almost a year, right? Wasn't it last February? Yeah.
February of last year till today, they could not fix the hole in the cover of the reservoir. Zach, I have a feeling if someone gave you and me the resources these people have, we'd have that handled like this.
Yeah.
But we see again and again and again rampant mismanagement of our city and state.
Well, I mean, they even, and you don't have to comment on this because obviously it does, it can border on the political side, but I even just saw the announcement that as the state just reserved $50 million that they're setting aside in a budget to potentially fight the incoming president should there be legal warfare for them to be prepared for. And I'm like, at a time like this, when you have absolutely clearly mismanaged and cut resources from a department that needs more of those resources right now. Obviously, I don't know. There are I was going to say it's obviously not easy to just defer the budget or to make changes on a whim, but there are executive orders that we have been seen put in place. But my thing is like, we're actively having this meeting to get this budget approved for $50 million when we already see how much that little blip of 17, 18 million that was already cut from the LA Fire Department. We've seen how significant that was, and we're just going to put 50 million aside for potential lawfare that may or may not come. It was such a wild talking point to see the governor go around and flex on this week.
Potential lawfare that may not come is possibly a profound way to put it. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I don't mind. Again, I don't think you can blame all of this stuff on the current leadership, especially I think Mayor Bass. I don't mind getting into politics. I think Mayor Bass in particular just has an impossible. She was just dropped in the situation. Now, said Newsom on the other side, he's been around for longer, and he is part and parcel of what's been going on. You want to talk about rampant wasting of funds or mismanagement of funds. Since I think about 2021, the state of California has spent $24 billion combating homelessness. Just to be clear, 24 billion. That is the GDP of a small country that we've spent on it. And in that period of time, it's gotten visibly worse.
Worse. Yeah.
Here's what makes it even worse. Here's what makes it this is where you get the final keystone, so to speak. Not only has 24 billion been spent, the government has admitted they didn't really track it. Now imagine you run a hedge fund and one of your clients says, "How is that 24 billion we gave you to invest going?" And you say, "The streets don't look that much better. And by the way, we didn't track that money." You would be fired
Yeah.
and you would then be sued for a breach of fiduciary duty. But there's a strange thing in politics. And guys, let me just be clear. I don't think it's one side or the other. I think it's
It's not.
politics generally, where you can fail forward, you can fail upwards. And I think part of the problem of that is we don't hold these people accountable. Due to
Yeah.
the polarized nature of our politics, each side gets in its own camp and bad behavior just continues.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part is people only view it through the political lens. So right now, I see so many people on the left that just want to blindly defend Bass and Newsom because that's part of the party that they voted for. And I think part of it is like I don't want to admit that I voted for people that maybe weren't the best for, our local and state government. Um, but you did bring up a really interesting point about Mayor Bass, how she is a lot newer, right? She's coming off of what was it, Garcetti that was in her place before. So she is, there isn't as much. Whereas I hold Newsom to a higher standard because he came off of the Woodley fires back in 2018. And so again, two of the things you should always be prepared for. Like now I have if there's an earthquake, I'm like, I don't expect the city or the state to have it
Yeah,
together at this point.
I agree.
I'm a little concerned about that. But it's just like, and Newsom came into office. I saw he just celebrated, what was it, 6 years because he came in 2019. It's like, but now you see a city like Los Angeles that's just in utter devastation. That it's unfortunate that we can't hold our leaders accountable as just leaders, regardless of their political party.
They used to say all politics is local, but it seems like we've now focused on more federal politics. And that's fine. I think
Yeah,
there's good reasons to focus on federal politics, but I worry it was at the expense of local politics. And you can see again, 24 billion mismanaged. The roads in LA are terrible. The police department doesn't show up. I mean, thank goodness. I don't know if your viewers know it. So, and by the way, like who's also to blame for this? We are as well, the citizens. I'll point out to you why.
yeah,
Prop, it was at 47, I think it was. Prop 47 is the one that allowed for theft under $950. It's the one that enabled drug use in the public. And again, don't get me wrong, it was well intentioned. There is need for criminal justice reform.
yeah,
Simultaneously, I don't think it was a good idea to let people steal 10 times a day so long as they steal under $950. It
yeah,
created crime tourism. It enabled rampant drug use. The person would go steal from CVS, give it to their drug dealer, and get high on the street. And this is a
yeah,
rinse and repeat. We have nonprofits in the state of California that are funded by our taxpayer dollars, and they give out crack pipes to people. I'm not sure I want my money going to crack pipes. But back to the point, we're the ones who voted in Prop 47. Now, here's the
yeah,
good news. Last year, we voted in Prop 36, which replaces Prop 47. So thank God that's gone.
yeah.
Theft is now illegal again. Oh, so maybe we can heal. But look, we're all involved. It's our leadership and it's our own voting patterns.
Yeah, I think if anything, obviously the 2016 election, I think was a big, it was very jarring and polarizing for a lot of people. And I feel like since then, every crisis, every election, I feel like just kind of wakes people up a bit more to realize these things are a lot more on the micro versus the
Mm.
macro, presidential election. That I think I'm hoping that it gets people more and more active and involved in wanting to learn and research who they're putting their vote behind, and not just, the blind voting of just all blue or just all red or just what they're told they're supposed to do. Because even like when it comes to the props, you have so much marketing that goes on with the flyers that come out and the commercials on television that even that can be
Yeah.
deceptive, right? Because you think you're voting for one thing and you're not really voting for that. You could be voting for, something that it maybe is a little deceiving, based off of what the commercial tells you. So I think if anything, it's waking people up and getting people more involved so that we're not just blindly trusting our leaders to tell us whatever. I mean, and I think that's also the power of like social media, right? with podcasting and, as even though TikTok can take you down all the conspiracy theories. I mean, people on TikTok think that this is all orchestrated by Diddy to erase evidence. I don't know if you've heard that theory. I mean, I've seen all the theories on TikTok that it's Diddy's just trying to burn down the town to get rid of evidence, or we're trying to build smart cities, or a bunch of different theories. But so you have to take it all with a grain of salt. But at the same time, I think it is starting to wake people up and hopefully empower them to get more involved, because that's what we need. I mean, even it was sad. I was watching a documentary the other day on crime in Los Angeles, and just seeing how many local businesses weren't even reporting crimes, right? Because one, you have the $900 threshold, but then on top of that, they're like, the more I report these crimes, the more my insurance rates are going to go up, and I can't even afford my insurance rates to continue to skyrocket with how much crime is being rampant, and people just weren't reporting it, or the LAPD wasn't able to really investigate or come when people were calling. That a lot of crime was just kind of being swept under the rug. It's not that crime has dissipated or disappeared. It's just it's not being reported the way it was.
Well, look on the bright side. We don't pay some of the highest taxes in the nation, right?
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's
Well,
wild.
what do they say? Los Angeles or California is the 5th greatest economy in the US.
The state of California, this is how much money we have. The state of California is the 5th largest economy in the world. By economy in the world, we're talking versus other countries. And yet we're still unable to perform. It's not a money issue, guys. It's not we need more taxes. I think we need a focused leadership that, I always say there's 3 things that ruin politics: incompetence, corruption, ideology. The combination of those 3 things, I think, are pretty rampant in the state of California and possibly the city of Los Angeles. So up until the time where the leadership kind of gets their act together, I think it's going to be tough. One silver lining I'll point out real quick: Prop 36, the one that canceled out Prop 47, the one that makes theft illegal again, it passed in every county in the state. In other words, you look at those maps and it shows how people voted and there's different colors. No, no, no. The whole state was one color. The whole state said, no, that was a mistake. And by the way, guess who opposed Prop 36? Newsom. Leaked documents came out showing that he was trying to undermine the proposition. Why? I don't know. He'd be a more popular leader if he went in that direction. It's very clear by the fact that everyone voted that way. We don't want rampant drug use, theft, crime, and these types of things. And you're also completely correct. And again, it doesn't mean you have to demonize every homeless person you see. Some people are just out on their luck and they're trying their best. Some people are in some unfortunate situations. And I'm not suggesting you have to demonize those people. Some people are just stealing water, for God's sake. Now there's people who are also stealing, Gucci shoes. That's a different story, I suppose. But simultaneously, I think every person, regardless of political ideology, wants a functioning society.
Yeah. And I think we've realized that the past couple of years, the state and specifically Los Angeles has just kind of taken a bit of a nosedive, and people want to get it back on track. I mean, I would imagine that maybe part of Newsom's resistance is if we are tougher on crimes, then the crime rates would go back up and the statistics wouldn't be as, he wouldn't be able to hide behind the statistics the way that he is now by saying crime is down, even though it's just not being as reported. It's crazy. I went into Target the other day and I was like, oh, I'm just going to grab a couple of things. I was like, oh, maybe I'll get some socks. I could use a fresh pair of socks. I'm at Target. I'm not here that often anymore because all the toothpaste is locked up. That if I want to get a deodorant, I have to do the scanner and wait for the lady to come and unlock the locker to get the stuff. And so I was like, oh, let me just go and get socks. And I went in, the entire sock and underwear section was just completely locked up. And I'm like, who's stealing all the men's thongs at Target that they have to be behind a plexiglass?
It's a good question. We should investigate that one. But look, now what happens? You don't want to go shopping in person. Where are you going to do your shopping? You're going to do it on Amazon as if they need any more money, right? It puts a downward pressure on local businesses. It puts an extreme pressure on small businesses. Look, you've seen in San Francisco, you've seen in Oakland, the only In-N-Outs that has ever closed, pretty sure it was in Oakland last year.
Yeah.
Not because it wasn't profitable. Every In-N-Out is profitable. They print money. You guys have seen the lines.
Yeah.
They came out and said, we're shutting this place down because every day we have an incident. Someone's
Yeah.
car is getting robbed in the parking lot. Someone's getting mugged. Someone's getting accosted, whatever it may be. And an In-N-Out straight up said, nah, we're going to forego profit because this area is so mismanaged. And if you take a look at the leadership, I mean, I'm pretty sure Oakland's DA is out. Pretty sure Oakland's mayor is out. San Francisco, there were issues there where the DA got recalled. There were other issues with the mayor, this and that. If you look in Southern California, here in Los Angeles, um, Gascon is no longer the DA. There's been a lot of shifts, and that's good. And I'm not saying there isn't value to taking a look at progressive ways of handling issues involving criminal justice reform. However, it's one thing to address something with a scalpel or a laser and being precise and being really effective of how you do it. It's another thing to just come with a sledgehammer and just shatter the system and then, hold your hands up and say, hey, don't believe your eyes and ears. Look, the statistics are saying crime is down. But as you pointed out, there is a issue with non-reporting because if you report, your insurance goes up and simultaneously nothing comes up the report. So there's no point to reporting things. They've also redefined certain types of crimes. Certain things have been redefined as violent and non-violent. So crime reporting is, in my opinion, right now a little suspect. I'm not the conspiratorial type. I like data. I like evidence. And this is one of the few times where I would say whatever details or statistics are being provided to us from the government, I look at them with a questionable eye.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like similar to you, I don't like to lean into the conspiracy theories, but when the data does, I like data. It's very clear. It's supposed to paint a very clear picture, but when it doesn't align, that's when I start to have questions, because to me it doesn't make sense. T with Tambo says, are you saying that because of these propositions that this is why money was diverted and they couldn't fix the reservoir?
It's a good question. Let me kind of step back and say, I don't think there is any direct dots necessarily to combine. I think it's an overall big picture mismanagement.
Yeah.
There was mismanagement in terms of dealing with crime and homelessness, which again, the voters are also partially responsible for. That changes focus, that diverts funds. The funds go in one direction. Well, here's the problem. As Zack pointed out, we have fires and we have earthquakes here. So as funds go to one side, they get diverted from the other side. And as a result, you have mismanagement. That is the theme of all of this, mismanagement. So the $18 million that was taken out of the budget for, I think it was last year or this year, did it have an impact on the fires? It did. According to LAFD, it
Yeah.
definitely had an impact. Now, would it have stopped the fires? Let's be clear. No. The winds that we were dealing with were something that we just don't see very often. However, just because there's no perfect solution doesn't mean you don't still try your hardest. I call this seatbelt theory. The seatbelt isn't guaranteed to save your life, but you still
Yeah.
wear it, right? You still do your best. And frankly, in a situation where you know there's fires and you know that these fires can get really, really powerful, given the history of the state, it's all the more reason to be on top of things. It's all the
Yeah.
more reason to dot your I's and cross your T's. So I'm not saying it's, this led to this, led to this. It's a more overall picture of their head is not in the game. They are making decisions based, again, on incompetence,
Yeah.
corruption, ideology, rather than the actual situation on the ground.
Yeah, it's hard because every time I see another press conference or I go on, Gavin Newsom's Firefax website, it's frustrating because it doesn't again align with what we're seeing happen here. And I just think it comes down to, and it's waking a lot of people up to be like, we need to oftentimes not even just pick the most charismatic person to put in office, but pick the person that we think policy wise is going to make the effective change that we want to see, reflected in the city and in the state. And I think we've seen, a lot of mismanagement, but just a lot of we've gotten a lot more lax on crimes. We've kind of just fallen asleep here in California that I think I'm hoping that it kind of just this shakes people enough to really get more involved.
I hope so. I'm from what I'm hearing, the usual sort of keep your head in the sand type of stuff. There is that. I'm still seeing that. There's always going to be a group of people who refuse to criticize one side or the other, and they do us no service, let me just say, because these criticisms are warranted, they are merited, and there is justification to be concerned. I would say, based on what I saw with Prop 47 and Prop 36, how Prop 47 was replaced by the entire state, I have some hope that people are kind of waking up. If Prop 36 didn't pass, I'd have a very different tone.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. Newsom, he only has how much time? A couple years left? When is the re-election? In like 2 years?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I
I
will
actually
say
think
though, what's
I
that?
think it might be next year, actually. 2026.
More likely than not, Newsom and Bass are gone, but it doesn't mean the next people are going to be any good either. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
But at
So
least, yeah. At least
it,
this gives us time to start finding some good people that we can feel confident being in office now.
I hope so. And I hope people do it not through the lens of partisanship, but through the
Yeah.
lens of being reasonable. And again, that's both sides. Just because one side didn't work out doesn't mean the other side's going to do any better.
No, I know.
Yeah. So unfortunate, but it's I keep trying to come up with more uplifting things to say, but I think it is what it is.
No, what I will say that is uplifting, and I've tried to really hammer this in anytime I've talked about it, is that, even if our leaders have failed us, the community is not. And
Mm.
just seeing the overwhelming support of people that are kind of just aligned with being like, this is a crisis. What can we do to help fix this now? I mean, just seeing, the Santa Anita park, the racetrack, and see how full that is with all of these volunteers and just supplies. I mean, so much so, we were collecting donations and we were overwhelmed with donations because places stopped collecting. All the local shelters were like, we're good. We have so much water. Yesterday, we went around, we put together some care packages and we're taking them to local fire stations. And even just showing up there and seeing them with cases and cases of water and Red Bull and energy drinks that people were bringing so that the fire department, is fully stocked, and just seeing how grateful and appreciative they are. I think the attention often goes to like the police departments for good or bad. People either love them or they hate them, but we often forget about the fire departments, and just seeing so many of these firefighters just genuinely grateful and making small talk and just connecting with people in the community was really nice to see.
Yeah, you're right. There has been an outpouring, and it's nice to see that. Say a lot of things about how people in Los Angeles are superficial and this and that. It's probably true, but it's
Listen, all you
still,
gotta do is burn their house down, and then the superficiality goes. Take away their material things, and then they're human again.
yeah, yeah. I guess that's what it takes, unfortunately. But like, I
Yeah.
agree with you. The outpouring, I did see it at the racetrack. It was wild how much stuff was there, and even just speaking to my friends and family about this, friends and family who typically don't do charity are all of a sudden involved, and that makes me very happy to see.
Yeah. So at least we know if we can't rely on our leaders, we can rely on each other and stop turning on each other and trust that we will, support each other in times of need. But thank you for coming on the show again. You'll have to come back. There's so much for us to talk. We have Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. We have there was another legal thing that came up this morning. I was like, I need to get his opinion about that. So anytime you want to come on to discuss legal matters, I'm happy to have you back on.
It's always a pleasure, Zach. I always love coming on the show. Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me and my office a voice. And for anyone who's watching, look, if my office can be helpful in any way, reach out. We're investigating the fires, both in the Palisades and the ones in the Eden. Whatever we can do to help people out, there's no charge to calling me. All this stuff is free in terms of interacting with my office. So if I can be helpful, or if you know someone who needs to speak with a lawyer, please forward them to me.
Are there options for representation for people that have suffered in the fires that you
Yes.
can? Yeah.
Yes, my office is right now. We haven't filed a lawsuit yet, but we are in touch with about 5 different families, and we're analyzing options. Most of those families are in the Palisades, which means we're going to be looking at lawsuits against insurance companies, which is going to be a whole mess. But in terms of the Eaton fires, I'm in contact with one person there as well, and we're looking to see if they want to get involved it's a little soon right now. People's lives have been destroyed. So maybe the last person they want to talk to is a lawyer. But, if anyone knows, and another thing, real quick, let me just say this, Zach. There are some very questionable people trying right now to get into this stuff. I saw an advertisement on my Instagram saying, we estimate the value of your house between 3 to 5 million. Sign up for this lawsuit. 3 to 5 million. What are you talking about? In the state of California, it's illegal, or I should say unethical, for lawyers to promise, guarantee, or warranty an outcome. And yet this other lawyer is doing that in an Instagram ad. So of course I looked into it. He's from New Jersey. I don't know why a New Jersey attorney is trying to sign up people from California using ethically questionable advertisements. So look, just because someone comes and they're slick, just because someone comes and they dumped a bunch of money into marketing, doesn't mean they're a good attorney. Be careful who you sign up with.
I mean, we saw play out Tom Girardi, one of the greatest attorneys here in Los Angeles, ultimately ended up bamboozling some people. So at least it's good that, are there any other, so you're looking to file some lawsuits and help people, gain some sort of, I guess that there really is no replacement for losing everything, but at least, reclaim some some portion of a future for their life.
Yeah, I have clients who have lost family members in tragic accidents where their son died, or their parents died, or their siblings died. You don't bring the sibling back, you don't bring the parent back, you don't bring the son who got killed back. But what you do is you give people a psychological win. The fact that they actually got some justice at the end of the day doesn't make up for the loss. But imagine having the loss and not getting justice. At least we can offer the justice.
Yeah. Forouzan Law is where people can go. Is there a website you want to direct people to, or a phone number that they can call if they want to get in touch?
fznlaw.com, or just call us 888-551-0163.
And your Instagram, so people can go thirst after you?
Forouzan Law. Oh, my personal is Daniel Forouzan, but there's also a Forouzan Law.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. You can go follow Daniel at Forouzan Law and Daniel Forouzan. Thank you again for being on the show. You'll have to come on back. Trust, there are lots of celebrity legal scandals that we've been breaking here that I would love to get your feedback on if you're ever inclined.
I'm always available. Thank you for having me on, Zach.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to an all-new episode of No Filter with Zack Peter. Be sure to subscribe, follow, give Daniel some love on Instagram. If you know anybody that has been affected by the Palisades fires or the Eaton fires, you can absolutely reach out, and maybe Forouzan Law can be a solution for you. So definitely check them out. Thank you for tuning in. Give me a follow at Just Plain Zack all over the internet. Follow the podcast at No Filter with Zack on Instagram. Shout out to Rocket Money. Shout out to Thrive Market. Definitely be sure to check them out. They're linked in the description below. They are responsible for this week's content. Tomorrow, we will be breaking down the Baldoni lawsuit against Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. It just hit this morning, so I have not had a chance to read through it yet, but there's a lot more to this legal saga that we will continue to play out, that we will continue to cover as it plays out. So be sure to tune into tomorrow's episode. I'll break down his new lawsuit and get ready. We have a lot more. We have a lot of special guests coming up next week. So we have a lot of fun stuff planned for the podcast. Check out a new episode of the Pop Report out right now. If you haven't listened yet, I'm on Don't Let It Stew and the Sarah Fraser Show this week as well. So go show them some love and catch my interviews over there. All right, guys, I will talk to you. Will Baldoni be your guest? I would love for Baldoni to be my guest. We're trying to get his attorney, Brian Friedman, who did Megyn Kelly's show. We're trying to secure an interview there. So hopefully we can get some more answers, but I'm excited to see this all play out. I'm excited to dive into his lawsuit right now. That's like, that's my porn right now. All right, guys. Love you. Appreciate you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one.